the Bernie Sanders campaign, I ask you to listen to the names of some of the people, some of our neighbors, who bring the burn to us and who work to make this revolution go forward. Listen to the names. Jill St. John, Carl Key, Greta Guck, Christine Yabel, Katie Cole, Aaron Gunderson, Caroline McGuire, Democrat Chairman Kylie Overson, and granddaughter Mila. Let's give these folks a hand and all of these other people that are working for us. Okay, I have 6 questions. I have 6 questions for you. Do you believe that everybody has a right to food? Yes! To shelter? Yes! To education? Yes! To health care? Yes! To a clean environment? Yes! To a good paying job? Yes! Friends, we are in the right place. We are in the right time because of your vision, your work. With us today, we have a passionate leader who also believes and has this vision. He believes what we believe. Each and every person, no matter your parents, no matter where you live, has intrinsic worth. Each person. Each person comes to us with a right to food, to shelter, to education, to health care, to a clean environment, and a decent paying job. And the leader that has this vision is with us today. He is the next President of the United States. And I am pleased to have Ed Schultz, a wonderful, progressive, national broadcast voice. Ed Schultz, come forward to introduce our presidential candidate.
This is a special moment in time in American history. This is going to be an election about absolutes. Absolutely, Bernie Sanders is in your corner. He's your next door neighbor. He's the guy that's going to leave the light on for you. He's the guy that stands with those Verizon workers who want to keep their health care. It's an absolute. After he's president, that's not going to change. He'll still be there for the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, the little guy, and he'll stand up to Wall Street. Finally, in your generation, you have an opportunity to support someone who can't be bought. He's as pure as the North Dakota white fallen snow out there. You can count on him to walk the line with you. You can count on him for women's rights, for equal rights, justice. And I'll guarantee you, when he's president of the United States, he's not going to court a trade agreement that's going to ship your job overseas and rob you of your future. Bernie Sanders was the man who stood up back in the 90s and said no to favored nation trading status with China, because all that's going to do is ship our jobs overseas and create a trade deficit that we're not going to be able to handle. Do you know that our trade deficit with China right now, they can build 2 F-18 fighters every day and not spend a dime? Those are your jobs. Now, a lot of politicians will come up and tell you that they're for you. Let me ask you a question. Do they walk the walk? Are they in the line with you? No! An absolute is that his competition did a turn on Keystone. His competition did a turn on the Trans-Pacific Partnership. I ask you to do this. Let history be your guide. Every single vote that Bernie Sanders has taken, it hasn't been for Wall Street, it's for the hard-working middle class of this country that is depleting, and that's why he is in this race. I ask you to not only show up here today, I ask you to go do the due diligence. And you be fair to your family. You vote for their future. You vote for a future that you can believe in. You take the heart, the soul, the desire of this country to the next generation. You can have a better life. You can have the hope. You can make it happen. And this man will stand with you day in and day out. He will fight for your jobs. He will fight for this country. And he will fight for what made this country great. I know Bernie Sanders. I know him. He comes from a middle-class little home in Burlington, Vermont. He's got grandkids. He's like you. He probably eats a little bit too much ice cream every now and then. But he is a fighter for the people, and he will never forget why he is where he is today. It's because of you and your heart and your desire. One final point. In 2009, when I was doing a cable show and I was doing a network radio show around the country, I did a Voices of America tour. And I went to 25 cities around the country. And what Bernie was saying on the cables, I kept hearing at these town halls. I came back to my team, I said, this guy knows where America is. He's saying all the things that all these folks are talking about. I ask you to do the due diligence for America. We're in this thing to the end. Don't give up. We're going to change this country. We're going to change this system. And we're going to show who the hell runs Wall Street. That's Main Street. To introduce to you the next president of the United States, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders.
Introduced me, and I want to thank Prairie Rose Seminole and State Senator Tim Mattern, but I want to say a special word about your native son here. Ed, as you know, was born here in Fargo, and he has gone far and wide, and Ed is, I think everybody knows, has had national radio shows, has had national TV shows. What Ed has done, which is literally unique in the media, as you know, our media is owned by very large corporations. And they don't want certain issues really to be widely discussed. And one of the issues that they have chosen pretty much to not talk about is, as Ed just indicated a moment ago, our disastrous trade policies, which have cost us millions and millions of jobs. This guy, more than any other person in the media, by far, it's not even close, has been the person to educate the American people about the disastrous trade agreements that this country has had. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank Ed Schultz. Somebody who's known Ed Schultz for many years, sounds to me that you raise tough and good people here in Fargo. Let me say a few words about the campaign, and then I want to talk to you about why this campaign is doing so well. Number one, I am extremely proud of the fact that when we began this campaign a little over a year ago, we were considered to be a fringe campaign. No one really took us terribly seriously. Well, a lot has changed in the last year. Now, Wall Street is not too happy about it. The world of corporate America is not so happy about it, but I think millions of Americans are happy about the changes that they are seeing. And what we have seen is we have now won primaries and caucuses in 19 states in our country. June 7th, with your help, we're going to win the caucus here in North Dakota. This is what this campaign has also accomplished already. When we began, we were told, well, the only way you can raise the kind of money you need to run a successful national campaign is to establish a super PAC. We agreed with you, and we did not do that. But what we did do is, if you can believe it, in the last year, we have received close to 7.5 million individual campaign contributions. And what that has shown, and this is a really profound political lesson for America. It has shown you can run a winning national campaign without being dependent on Wall Street and the big money interest. I'm proud of that. And here's what else we have done. You know, we've won 19 and we've lost many as well. But in virtually every campaign in all of the states, virtually everyone, every poll that I have seen, something very interesting is occurring. You know what's occurring? We win, and in many ways, overwhelmingly, the votes of young people. By young people, I don't just mean the 20-year-olds. You know, when you get older, the definition of old changes. We are winning the votes of people 45 years of age and younger. Why is that important? It is important because we are winning the vision for the future of America and for the vision of the Democratic Party. Now, one of the reasons that Donald Trump is not going to be one of the reasons that Donald Trump will not become president of the United States is that we are beating him in virtually every national and statewide. And our job, which we are going to undertake in a very aggressive way, is not only to do our best to win here in North Dakota and the remaining 7 states that are left, and to end up, and it's a steep hill and we acknowledge it from day one. Yeah, I think we can. We're going to have to win. It's not easy. But here in North Dakota and the remaining 7 other states, we have to win about 65% of the pledged delegates. Right now, we're at about 45.5%. I want to be at 50% plus 1. So that's task number 1. So you guys are going to have to come out in large numbers and give us a great victory here in North Dakota. And then our friends in California, they're even bigger than Vermont and North Dakota. You know that? So we are going to have to show our friends in the big states to come out and give us a great victory there as well. But the other thing that we're going to do in this remaining period before the Democratic National Convention is to make the case to the superdelegates. Now, we can talk about superdelegates. It's a very strange phenomenon. Secretary Clinton received, if my memory is correct, about 450 superdelegates before anybody else was in the race. Months before the first ballot was cast. That is the establishment talking. And we've got to tell the establishment that is not a process which is acceptable. And the case that I think we can make, not only is it kind of wrong from a democratic process point of view, the real case that we can make and must make is that all of us, whether it's Hillary Clinton or myself or anybody else, we agree Donald Trump must not become president of the United States. And I believe that very fairly and very objectively, we can make the case that our campaign and our energy and our enthusiasm is the campaign to create a very large voter turnout in November. And here's what happens. This is the story of contemporary American politics. When people are demoralized and when people give up on the political process, Republicans do extraordinarily well. They thrive on low voter turnouts. And that's why Republican governors try to suppress the vote. Fewer people vote, the better they do. We do exactly the opposite. When people are excited and enthusiastic and are prepared to engage in the political process, and when young people, in some cases who may never have voted, come out, and when working class people who have in many cases turned their backs on the political process because they've been burned so many times, when those people come on in and we have a large turnout, you know what happens? Progressives and Democrats win elections. So I believe it is not just the polling which has us in virtually every instance doing better than Secretary Clinton against Trump. It is the fact that we have the energy to create the kind of turnout that will mean not only a victory for the president's race, but for the United States Senate, for the House, and for governor's races all over the state. the reason that our campaign is doing as well as it is we're doing something quite unusual, and that is not just raising money in an unusual way from ordinary people rather than super PACs, but we are equally doing something fairly radical. We're telling the truth. We're telling the truth at a time when the truth is not always easy or pleasant to tell. But what I believe, and I think most of you know, is that whether it's in our own personal lives or in the political life of the nation, if we do not confront reality and the truth, and if we simply push problems underneath the table, they are not going to be addressed, they are not going to be resolved, and that is the cowardly thing to do. So what this campaign is about is saying, look, these are our problems.